Alright, so in this video I'm going to be talking about the new RunCam WiFiLink, which is based on the OpenIPC project. And for those of you that aren't aware of what that is, it is an open source like a Wi-Fi video transmission system, or Wi-Fi FPV. It could be known for a number of other things as well. Essentially, it is something similar to like a walk snail, DJI Cadex, Vista, first generation DJI, or DJI O3, HD0. There's a lot of digital video transmission systems currently on the market, and this is supposedly going to be like the lowest cost, or at least that's their goal. Something more affordable, and this is pretty affordable here. If you get the video transmitter and camera, I believe it's $70. And then if you get the bundle with the USB Wi-Fi adapter, which will turn your Android phone into a ground station, that's I think $20 more. It's $89.99, so $90. So it's pretty affordable to get in. I do want to caution though that this is early days. Basically, this is, I think, the first piece of like mass-produced hardware, as far as I'm aware, from like a known company for this project. So you have to kind of think and go back to like the early days of like Express LRS, before version 1.0 came out. There's a lot of community developers out there working on software updates, and things are changing very fast. So this video is probably already outdated. I'm recording this on August 20th, 2024. So for you that is watching this 6 months into the future, it's now January 2025, and everything I'm talking about in this video is wrong. Well, it's because I am not in the future. So I'm just telling you what I know right now, how this stuff works. I'm not an expert. If you have stuff that's more deep dived than what you're going to see in this video, you're probably going to have to talk to a developer, or talk to someone at RunCam that could lead you to a developer, because things are changing very quickly. So with all that out of the way, what I have here is I did get the full setup with the video transmitter and camera and the Wi-Fi, what are they calling this thing? Wi-Fi USB adapter, AC 1200 megabits. So you get this adapter, you get two antennas here. Obviously this is like 5.8 gigahertz. And then this other part here is a USB-A to USB-C adapter. And you will need a device that supports USB on-the-go protocol. So some devices don't, and some do. And then I will talk about what I got this to work on and what I didn't get to work on, because it isn't going to work with every piece of Android hardware out there. You'll have to watch the rest of the video for that explanation, because as with any kind of a new kind of software, it's especially anything for Android, there's a lot of variability in the Android ecosystem. So some things will work, some things don't. There is an app that you need to download. I'll talk about that all in a second. You also get this cable for connecting power and the TX and RX for an OSD. So there's a port on here. I'll just show it to you. I had to take it apart. It is right there. It's opposite the MIPI connector on the bottom part of this board here. And then I have this soldered on. I had another cable. I soldered it directly into this flight controller to test the OSD capabilities, and that does work. I did have to take this apart. As you can see, there's two screws here, one here and one here, and it goes like this. There's two standoffs on one side, which is, I think, kind of dumb, because if this is an aircraft and crashes, it's going to break something. If you're wondering, this part here with the fan, the cooling fan in here, that is the transmitter part. So the RF stuff is here. I believe the power amplifier is also in here as well. I believe it's 800 milliwatts max power. But the reason I had to take it apart is because there's an SD card on here, which you will need. It's not included. You have to put this in here, and then you power it up. It's going to create something called a GS.key, which you're going to need to put onto the Android device in order to establish the connection. It's kind of like a password. So I had to take that apart. So I think this would be better to have the standoffs on the other side of this board, and then have this, if this is more accessible, and then have it flipped over like this. and have it like this. Maybe they couldn't do this because these other connectors got in the way. Not 100% sure, but in any case, there's only a screw on this one side. This is not ideal. Again, this is not, while it is a product you can buy, it is technically a beta product. So keep that in mind. The AP cable here, I think it's 200 millimeters long, and here's the lens. I'll show you the image quality here momentarily. So on this side here, you got these two antennas are included. You don't have to install them; just pop them on there with UFL connectors. And I don't know what this little ribbon cable connector is for. That wasn't documented anywhere, in case anyone's asking me. But yeah, I soldered this, even though it comes with this cable, I soldered it directly to this flight controller because this doesn't have the other side of that plug for this one here. I believe the example they show is like a SpeedyBee, some kind of iNav flight controller, I believe, sort of airplane. And obviously, for those of you wondering about latency, there is a fair amount of latency. It depends on the hardware you're using to get. If you have a higher end hardware that can do decoding of the video, the compressed video faster, you'll get less latency. If you have low end hardware, you'll get more latency. I'll explain that more later. But more importantly, on this cable, they're not wired the same. They're reversed. So you have to be careful which side you use on the I guess the processing board. So this board here is the transmitter board, which is like got the RF stuff on it, and then this one is all the video stuff, because obviously the camera is connected here, so this is doing all the video compression and then shipping off to the transmitter, and this getting sent out by Wi-Fi or 5.8 gigahertz. It's not really Wi-Fi; it's like Wi-Fi derived. That's obviously why this is if it was Wi-Fi, obviously it's different. This is like using some, like they're developing this through their own software. And lastly, you do get some spare standoffs and screws. Okay, just want to quickly show you some documentation. So this is obviously the RunCam website has that's what it looked like when it came out of the box before I took it apart. Obviously, you probably want to flip it over. And again, they got the regular Wi-Fi link and then the Wi-Fi link G. That is the one with the USB adapter, so you can turn your Android phone into a ground station. That's why the G is for ground station. And you can click the link below if you want. There is a file on the SD card that's generated when you turn it on. It's like an INI file with a text file with these settings, and you'll need something like Notepad++ to adjust these. Some of these you can adjust in the app, like see the codec, for example, and the channel. But then like other things like the video bitrate, for example. See, these are the values, and then what's available. You can only do that in the text file. I'm just running everything standard here. I think it's 720p 120 fps, and then 4096 bitrate. If you go to like 1080p and a higher bitrate, it's going to increase the latency for sure. So obviously I want to get the lowest latency experience, but this is what this is a text file that's on the SD card, and you can see the SD card there pictured. And what you want to do is you want to go down to get to the documentation. You want to go all the way to the bottom here. Oh, by the way, here are the specs. Pause the video if you want to take a look at that. 9 to 30 volts on the power range, 3 to 6S, 160 degree field of view. The sensor in there is an Sony IMX415. Yeah, board size 30 by 30. I think it's 25. It says it's 25 by 25 on the mounting holes on here. Not 100% sure on that one. And this is 30 grams as the weight, and I actually didn't weigh it personally. Now it says the power amplifier is 29 dB, which is about a little under 800 milliwatts if you're wondering on that conversion. But if you go to the bottom of the product page, there's the manual in English, and then there's the other files here, which you don't want to use this GS key. In order to get the connection, you want to get the GS key that's off of your actual hardware that's going to be generated on your SD card. And then what you do is basically, once you get this all set up and wired up, and you have power going in, you turn it on. I waited like 10 seconds, I turn it off. and then I grabbed the gs.key file off of this SD card, and then I transferred it over to my Android phone. So I'm not going to talk about how to do that, because how you do that depends on the kind of phone you have and the operating system you have. There's too many variables there. Just Google if you don't know how to do that. But basically, you need to get that gs.key file off of this SD card and onto the Android phone, and then I'll show you what to do at that point. But let's go ahead. I'll just show you the manual. It's like literally one page. So it's a PDF file, and it shows how to use it. It shows you the hardware. There's obviously different ways you can arrange the stacking. It depends on what you want to put it in. Again, they're showing an airplane here. Probably, I think, in terms of latency, for things like airplanes, ground vehicles like RC cars, I think it's going to be totally fine if you have appropriate hardware. Now, if you have, again, I'll talk about that shortly. I'll get to that. I'm going to get to that. Just hang in there. More stuff about the hardware. This is the SpeedyBee iNav flight controller, I think, that this particular wire works with. But if you do what I did, you can just cut the wire and then solder directly to your UARTs if you're using some other type of flight controller. Again, there are the specs, and then here is how to set it up. So you're going to go to this FPV View app. You have to find that and then download that to your Android phone. It's going to be an APK file. I will link that in the video description on where that link is. They show it here, but then you have to go down. Scroll down. It's like halfway down before you can find this. You need to download the APK file, and then you need to basically install it to your Android phone. And then over here, this is where it says you need to copy and replace the GS key. I'm going to actually show that to you where that is on these menus here. That's very hard to see. And then this is the second column here on this one-page PDF file. You have to set the channel to 173. The codec is H.265. It was already defaulted to H.265. And then it has some other additional information about the OTG cable and the network adapter. If you want to use some third-party ones, that has some reference information there. This is stuff about how to flash updated firmware for this video transmitter. And obviously, this is not formally released yet, so this, at least for me, these downloads weren't available, and the firmware on here is probably the latest anyway. So I will do a firmware update video on my second channel at some point in the future, whenever that comes out. If that interests you, let me know. Depending on how desperate people are, I may make that video sooner rather than later. And again, this is that text. This talks about that text document, which you can change these settings here. That's what I showed you earlier. And again, this is some of the other things you can do in terms of ground stations. There's something called a RADSA03W. It's like a Raspberry Pi board that you can turn into a ground station. It outputs HDMI, and I believe you can just output to any HDMI screen. It's very low latency. I did see some people showing them some YouTube videos showing that this being used. I need to do a lot more investigation about how this works. It's obviously, there's a lot bit more work to get this working versus the Android phone, and I don't have the hardware. Obviously, I have to order it. I tried to find it on Amazon. I couldn't find it. At least it's not available there. And then I'm not 100% sure which one to get on AliExpress, because that's the other place I can get it at. There's like several different versions, and I guess the lead time is like 3 or 4 weeks. So you're not going to see a video on this one for probably 2 months, in my opinion, because I need to acquire the hardware first. So this is what they're talking about here, about the other ground stations that are available. This does have an OSD function as well, and that's why I connected up this flight controller for the OSD information. So let's go ahead. I'll hook everything up and show you how it works. Okay, so I got this to work with decent latency on my Pixel 2. This is a Google Pixel 2. It's an older phone. It's pretty old, actually, like 6 years old. But this has a Snapdragon SoC in here, and that has a better graphics processing unit, or GPU, than some more recent, cheaper SoCs. Like, I tried this system here on a Unisoc T606 SoC, which does not have a very good GPU, and it did work, but I was getting like 5 seconds of latency, which is ridiculous. So basically you need hardware that is able to decode the video signal quickly to get good performance and good latency. Obviously the newer Android hardware with Snapdragon processors is going to be faster, and you're probably going to get even less latency. So obviously that's going to be the key thing on this Android setup here, is you need good hardware. So if you think you can get away with the dirt cheapest $50 phone that you can pick up at the dollar store, probably ain't going to work. I did try this on a phone or tablet with a MediaTek processor, which has a pretty decent GPU, and this software did not work at all. I got no video. So I don't know 100% all the hardware that works and doesn't work. So that's what I'm telling you. In general, I always say latest generation Snapdragon hardware is more likely to work versus a cheaper Android hardware. So if someone has a list out there and does know as to exactly which phones and which hardware works and doesn't work, let me know down in the comments below. I looked around, I couldn't find that hardware list anywhere. So anyway, you need to, listen, as I said, go and find that app. It's called FPView, and the latest version is 0.19. And once you install it, you go ahead and click on here, and then it says here, no compatible Wi-Fi adapter found. That's because it's not plugged in. And then we'll go ahead and we'll plug it in. Now it's starting it on this called WFB-NG on channel 173. I did change the channel already. Just go over here, click channel, and so you can see that it shows current channel 173, and then you can just scroll through here and change the channel that way. So I just changed it to channel 1. Let's go back and change it to channel 173. You can change the default channel in that text file as well. So now we're in 173, and the codec is H.265. And then obviously you get that Wi-Fi key or the GS key. You have to click on this WFB-NG, click that, and then you're going to click this GS key, and then you're going to go and search on your phone where you stored that GS key. I put this in my downloads folder. There we go, and that's it. And now we can power up the video transmitter. This fan here is pretty loud, and it does take a fair amount of time for everything to boot up. So it's going to boot up here, and right now it's searching for video, and I should probably take the lens cap off of the camera here. And oh, I think there we go. Now we got video. And let's see, is this the top? So I guess this is the top where the cable's coming out. That's the top. And you can see here, it's got pretty decent latency. I mean, I think for an airplane or ground vehicle, it's fine. I did see some crazy videos of someone flying this on a 5-inch drone doing like crazy acro with this system. Now I don't really know. I think he was using that Raspberry Pi ground station. So perhaps you need really high-end hardware. So again, you know, for the video processing stuff, you do need some pretty decent hardware to get this going. So that is a cost element, even though the transmitting hardware here is fairly inexpensive. I think the ground station is going to be probably a cost item, but let's see here. You know, it's pretty decent video. This is 720p. I'm just, you know, showing you my desk here. It's obviously got a pretty minimum focus distance, as the lens is probably like a foot. And it is wide angled, so I mean, you can clearly read the box. This is Power 20 Pro. So, you know, if you have good, decent hardware, this is like a Snapdragon processor from 6 years ago. Still works pretty good, you know. But again, this is a little 5-inch screen. You know, if you guys know of any like tablets with like a 12 to 14 inch screen with a Snapdragon processor, let me know, because I did search around and a lot of tablets are using MediaTek MCUs, and that I couldn't get any of my MediaTek tablets to work with this software. Now, the developer apparently of this Android app is too busy and wants to send the project off to someone else. So maybe it'll be taken over and then there'll be more development. So again, this is early days. This is beta stuff here. Don't go and put this on your $1,000 FPV drone and then come complain to me when you lost video and you crashed, because that might happen. This is still beta software. If you've got a $1,000 drone, you want reliability, maybe you should go spend a little bit extra money on a DJI O3 system. That's pretty proven to work pretty reliably. So for those of you who are wondering, I am going to be testing out that new Emacs system. It's pretty much going to be like this, but I think it's packaged a little bit differently and still using an Android phone as far as I could tell. But I should be getting some beta units of that as well pretty soon, so stay tuned to the channel for that, and that should be coming up soon. And again, if you want additional content of this, let me know what you're looking for down in the comments section. Again, I'm not an expert in this. This is fast moving, so if you know something, let me know. Sharing is caring, so let me know down in the comments if it was something that I missed or that I should cover. Do let me know down in the comments below. But that should do it for this initial video. Looks promising. I can't complain really. For a first iteration, I got this up and running in like, 30 minutes with just looking at that one-page documentation. I knew absolutely nothing about this project. I wasn't paying attention. RunCam was like, hey, you want to try this out? I'm like, all right, sure. And it didn't take me more than 30 minutes to get this up and running. And obviously, I did try some other Android devices to find out like which ones would work and which ones wouldn't. That's what I told you. And again, I would say Snapdragon MCUs seem to be the ones that will work the best in terms of the lowest latency. So that'll do it for this one. Rambled on long enough. Again, comments and questions down below. Talk to you guys in the next one.